Hello, I'm Peter, and I'm here to introduce you to the Feedback Shield. First, let's talk a bit about feedback. When you have a hearing instrument, there is a limit for how much gain you can give before the instrument will start to feedback. As long as the gain is below the feedback limit, there is no feedback. So if this picture did not change, then the instrument would never feedback. But the picture does change, and more often so because there's a tendency towards making fittings as open as possible. Open fittings are popular because they are comfortable and natural sounding, but an open fitting also increases the likelihood of feedback. That is, the likelihood that the sound from the receiver will reach the microphone. The challenge is therefore to be able to estimate how much gain can be given in different situations without creating feedback. Most people know feedback as whistling or squealing like this. But when we talk about the optimal anti-feedback system for hearing instruments, then the whistling that we just heard is not the only sound to be avoided. Some manufacturers' anti-feedback systems introduce other undesired sounds in an attempt to prevent and remove the whistling. For example, some anti-feedback systems are very aggressive, which becomes audible as a ringing sound in situations with speech or music, like in this example. Other systems try to prevent or suppress feedback by, for example, lowering the gain, but that can lead to clicks in the sound, like this. All right, let's take a look at the three elements in the optimal anti-feedback system. The first one is audibility, or gain. Users should be able to get the full value of wearing a hearing instrument. Fitting an instrument with a lower gain than that appropriate for the hearing loss in question will reduce the likelihood of feedback, but it will also reduce the value of the hearing instrument for the user. The second consideration is good sound quality. Users should be able to experience good sound quality even in situations with tonal sounds like music. This means that the feedback system should not attack all sounds equally aggressive, and thereby create undesired and audible sounds, like the clicks and the ringing we heard in the sound sample. Finally, the system should be good at preventing and suppressing feedback so that howling is avoided as much as possible. I think we can all agree that it's a very unpleasant sound. So designing the optimal anti-feedback system is about optimizing all three parameters in the best possible way. Inium Sense Feedback Shield prevents and suppresses feedback. It does this by using three technologies: phase inversion, frequency shift, and gain control. Two detectors, the feedback detector and the tonal detector, help determine the most optimal reaction of the system in a given sound environment. The feedback detector constantly works to estimate the likelihood of feedback and to identify feedback. If feedback is detected, the system responds by quickly updating the phase inversion to cancel out the feedback signal. It also applies a 20 Hz frequency shift to prevent more feedback from occurring. Since frequency shifts sometimes interfere with sound quality, the frequency shift is deployed in a limited, intelligent, and targeted manner. This means that the frequency shift is only active when it doesn't jeopardize sound quality or when the alternative is audible feedback, which of course would result in very poor sound quality. In parallel to this, the Inium Sense platform constantly measures each of the 16 frequency channels to determine if there is a risk of additional feedback or other acoustic instability. In specific situations like a hug, a yawn, or whenever someone is close to the ear, there is greater risk of temporary feedback, which needs to be eliminated immediately. To preserve audibility, the gain control swiftly and substantially decreases the gain in the affected feedback region. As the hearing instrument is clear of the feedback-causing event, it immediately restores gain. The Inium Sense Feedback Shield does this better and faster than ever before. With Inium Sense Feedback Shield, gain control is now 4 times faster than in our previous solution. The other detector, the tonal detector, constantly works to detect tonality in the input, for example, music and some sounds in speech. If no feedback is detected, the tonal detector ensures that the technologies employed ensure the best sound quality and the least risk of undesired sounds or feedback. For example, when there are many tonal sounds in the environment, like music, the system does not employ frequency shift, as this might lead to reduced sound quality for the user. So, the feedback shield uses 3 technologies to prevent and suppress feedback. The system always uses the gain control and phase inversion. Frequency shift is added when the sound environment allows us to without decreasing the sound quality for the user. The result is an anti-feedback system that fights feedback efficiently while preserving good sound quality and audibility. The feedback shield works automatically to prevent and suppress feedback. In Genie, the hearing care professional can find the maximum gain available for the hearing instrument, given the instrument's venting and coupling, before the feedback limit is reached. The Feedback Manager in Genie also allows the hearing care professional to address feedback issues. So, our feedback shield is a stable system that gives the Alta user efficient prevention and cancellation of feedback, as well as excellent sound quality and audibility. Thank you for taking the time to join me. Hopefully, you found it informative.